It's so important to live the life that we have in the season that we are in. It's so important to work towards our goals. When we are in a really hard season, sometimes there is in our mind a before and an after. And in the middle, it's called a waiting room, according to a book called Second First by Christina Rasmussen. And when we are in the waiting room, it is the separator from who we were before the hard season and who we become after it. It's so important for us to work toward just getting 1% better than we were the day before. That means sometimes we are going to crawl before we walk, and we're going to walk before we run. It's okay. It is so important for us to have patience, love, and acceptance for ourselves.
Hey there, mamas. Welcome to the Mom Care Coach podcast. And I am your host, Victoria Mattia. I am a certified life and health coach, certified international counselor, and also a homeschooling autism mom and former autism clinic director. I know that you are struggling with holding healthy boundaries around time management, constantly getting less than adequate sleep, and managing deep exhaustion and overwhelm. And you are praying to find a way to have more energy throughout your day. Well, friend, you have come to the right place. In this show, we will talk about how you can guide yourself through a process of self-care strategies that will lead you to the health solutions that you as an autism mom have been searching for, and how providing for your 4 intentional needs, sleep, movement, nutrition, and mindset, can help you avoid burnout. So grab this morning's leftover matcha or pour another cup of your homemade kombucha and pull up a chair, and let's have a chat on how these health solutions can change your life. One more thing, would you like to know more about the online coaching services and health bundles that I offer? If so, please do not hesitate to reach out. My email is mindfulwellnessforautismmoms@gmail.com. Again, mindfulwellnessforautismmoms@gmail.com. And of course, it's also listed in the show notes. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you. Now on with our show.
Hello, everyone. This is Victoria Mattia, and I am the Mom Care Coach, and this is the Mom Care Coach podcast. Thank you so much. If this is your first time for listening in, if you are listening in and this is not your first time, thank you so much for returning. Today, we have a very interesting topic. We are talking about hard seasons for autism moms. So every human being on this earth will have times of difficulty or challenges, however you want to put it. But basically, we can have hard seasons where maybe our children are having a hard time and we're trying to navigate things or learn about their diagnosis, or navigating with a partner can sometimes be hard when they are just learning as well. Navigating after a loss of some kind, whether it is divorce or a death in your family, or just a really hard season, in your marriage. It could be in your motherhood. It can be maybe in your job. Hard seasons can come in all different areas of life. So there is a book. It's an older book. It's been around several years. It's called Second First by Christina Rasmussen. And she talks all about in the book on how to navigate a loss or perhaps grief over something. And, what's interesting about a loss, it could be anything from a breakup, a death of a partner, which was her case in her book. It could be losing a job. It could be so many different things, but there are steps on how to go where you were and to go on to your next season. And she in the book actually calls it the waiting room, how to go from what you were before the event and then how to get to your next level where in success or wherever you're wanting to go to the other side, to get out of that grief stage, to move through it rather. She calls it the waiting room. And so today I wanted to just take a couple moments and talk about how we can navigate a hard season in our life as an autism mom with using our 4 intentional needs. So I will have to tell you, this last couple weeks for me has been really challenging. My oldest child with autism, he is 14 now, and he's just really been struggling in a lot of different areas. And it has to do with, the age, as well as the fact that he has autism and some of the different things that can go along with it sometimes, especially in that age demographic. So I wanted to share with you some, in real time, on how I have been using to just allow my 4 intentional needs to bolster myself as we are moving through this quite challenging season at the moment. So number 1, because of the different areas that he's been struggling with, it has been affecting my health and sleep and everything as well, because I'm working so hard to help him navigate his hard season. It has also become my hard season because, it's always our first time in parenting a particular child, even if you have other children that has gone before you. Everyone is an individual. And so it is your first time parenting that particular child if they are having a hard season, or it's your first time parenting yourself if you are having a hard season. Even though we are adults, it's important for us to be gentle with ourselves and show ourselves grace and give ourselves permission to take time for ourselves. And that's why our 4 intentional needs are so important. So number 1, I always love to start with sleep, because so often it is kind of the cornerstone for so many areas and even our 4 intentional needs. So for me, these last few weeks, sleep has been very challenging. It's been very difficult to get to sleep. And then once I'm asleep, I've been, have been woken up. And so, that's very challenging. And trying to get back to sleep after you have awakened can be very challenging also. So that's an area that there are things that we can do to help, as I've mentioned before. And I'm going to tell you what I've been doing. Number 1, being really cognizant of making sure that the phone, the laptops, everything are off at least an hour before. Now, that's not easy. It's not easy for anyone, but it's also challenging in a hard season, because sometimes you can, during that hard season, have a lot of time where you're looking after others, especially as we are, primary caregivers. And when that's happening, you also need to make sure that you have time for yourself, or time for you to do the other things you need to do. Because I work from home, it can be hard for me because I still need to get things in and done, even though it's a hard season, or my time is being used in other ways that I may not have been anticipating to do. So that is one thing, making sure that you are having at least an hour of no blue light, meaning your laptops and your phones. I'm even going to say your television as well, because so many of us have smart TVs. that can also emit blue light. So having all of that off at least an hour before you go to bed. So that's one thing. Another thing I've been doing to help my sleep, and I'm still doing this, is making sure that I'm having some kind of relaxation tea in the evening before I want to go to bed. But not only then, I've also been having some relaxation tea in the afternoon. And so one of the kinds of teas I like to have is a blend of lemon balm, rosemary, and a peppermint. I like to have it in the middle of the day. Lemon balm for me has always been really relaxing. I even have that by itself sometimes in the evenings. I've even had supplements of lemon balm as well. But in the afternoon, sometimes it's nice to have a relaxing tea. Also, I've been making sure that I'm, up to date on my supplements and making sure I'm having what I need. I'm going to mention that also in nutrition. But as far as sleep goes, just preparing my body, dimming those lights. If you have dimmers on your lights, that is also really great. Having a hot bath with some essential oils, I like to also have before bed if it's possible. Using like a hot towel scrub on my body and warm water on my face. Using really relaxing skincare. Allowing myself to move slowly with helping my body and helping my mind to calm down before sleep. Also having essential oils on the bottom of my feet before bed with socks. Really helpful. Wearing, pajamas that makes me feel comfortable. Sheets on my bed that makes me feel comfortable. All of these little things are really helpful. Also, making sure the temperature is not too hot and not too cold. I find that to be really helpful as well. All to help me actually get to sleep. Okay, so what do you do if you wake up in the middle of the night and it's hard to get back to sleep? Well, you don't want to get up and start, turning on lights and everything unless you have to. Like if you're having to, look out for little ones, then that's one thing. And even if you do, as quick as possible, making sure that you are able to turn the lights off and to get back in bed. And then also, once you're in bed, what I find is doing the breath work, deep breathing exercises. I have a video on my YouTube where I go through a breathwork exercise in real time with you, so you can do it along with me. So if you haven't checked that out, go ahead and go to my YouTube channel. It's under Victoria Mattia and the Mom Care Coach. I think that's the name of that channel. There's a couple different channels, but if you scroll through the videos that are on there, you'll be able to easily find it because you see me kind of acting out the breathwork exercise on the picture. So if that's something that you would like to learn more about, go ahead and take a look at that breathwork exercise. And then also anytime throughout this podcast you're listening in and you're thinking to yourself in this episode, wow, this sounds really interesting. I would love to have a little bit more support when it comes to learning more about my 4 intentional needs and how to support myself. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me. My email is in the description box of all of the episodes, and we can talk about setting up a time to have like a consultation where you can kind of see if we would be a good fit for coaching. If you would like one-on-one coaching to support yourself through this process as an autism mom, learning how to implement your 4 intentional needs on a daily basis in the life that you're living right now, in the season that you're living right now, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, okay? Also, so those are some of the things that I have been supporting myself through when it comes to sleep. So in the middle of the night, practicing some breath work, and I have found that to be really, really helpful, especially one particular exercise I enjoy doing. It is breathing in 4 counts and out 6, and in the nose through the first 4 counts, and then breathing out through my mouth. and repeating that series over and over again, and even in the middle of the night, I have found to help me to calm back down, especially if you have lots of thoughts running in your head. That can be really helpful. And then it helps sometimes to get me back to sleep. So that's really awesome. Also in the morning, so as I mentioned, I've been struggling with getting enough sleep. So in the morning, I want to make sure I'm still drinking my water. So that would be under nutrition. I'm still hydrating myself, especially before caffeine. Sometimes when we're having a hard time sleeping, or if our kiddos are having a hard time, we can feel really rushed. And there is another book I read several years back, and I believe her name is Bernadette. I think her name is Bernadette Knoll. And she wrote a book called Slow Family Living. There is a few different books she wrote. Slow Family Living, Slow Family Handbook that helps you to create a mission statement for your family, as well as Slow Family Holiday and a Babysitter's Handbook on how your family enjoys certain things throughout the day and how you want to, live as a family, and helping others to have an understanding about that. So I think her name is Bernadette Knoll. If that is not correct, I will put it in the description box of who this person is. But she wrote these several ebooks, and I really enjoyed learning about those several years ago. Also, there's a woman named Carrie Conti. She was a developmental psychologist for young children. And I remember she was also a coach that I reached out to years ago when my oldest child was young, and she helped coach me on parenting him. So she was really awesome in that. I don't know if she still does that kind of one-on-one work, but I know it was very, very helpful. And she had recommended some books to me to read as I was parenting my oldest child, who was on the spectrum when he was very, very young. So let's go on to our next intentional need that I've been focusing on. As I said, I mentioned water, also nutrition. When you're having a hard season, sometimes meal prep and meal planning is so important. But if that is a challenge for you, making sure that you have some quick and easy ingredients to create really healthy meals in the home really quickly, I have found that to be helpful. One of the ingredients that I really enjoy to use is red lentils. Red lentils is really high in protein and fiber, and you can do a really quick soak. Technically, you can soak it for as little as 20 minutes and be able to use them. These are beans, but this particular kind of bean is like a split bean. The red lentils, that's why they cook really easily. You can put them in a pot, and then in 20 or 30 minutes, they're already done. A pot full of the red lentils if you wanted to use it for a soup. Also, I like to make red lentil waffles because it's high in protein and fiber, and it's also grain-free. And, it doesn't spike your blood sugar, so it's really low in that as well. Low in sugar, especially because there's no grains in it. So I find that is really helpful. I also like to make little flatbreads or burger buns with red lentils. And what's really great, if I don't have time to do a heavy soak for a lot of the different beans, if you're going to do pinto beans or black beans or lima beans, usually you have to soak those for at least overnight, even longer sometimes if you have time. I really like to soak my beans 24 to 48 hours to help them to be, really digestible. Even if sometimes I will ferment them to help them to be even more digestible. So when I have time, I like to do that when I plan that out. However, sometimes in hard seasons, you don't have a lot of time for planning and doing different things because your time is used elsewhere, and that's okay. It's important to really know that. So red lentils is one of the things that I really enjoy using because you can soak them quickly and you can cook them quickly. So having an idea about nutrition, how you're going to nourish yourself and your family, of course, but we always nourish our family, our babies, but so often we forget about ourselves. We put ourselves on the back burner, and we have to remember to put ourselves on the list. Like, we don't have to be number one on the list, but we have to be on the list. Our self-care is very, very important so that we can continue to navigate and move through every season, not just the hard ones. So we've gone through sleep and nutrition. Let's talk about movement and mindset now. Movement, for me, that's one thing that I have just been doing. It hasn't been as difficult for me to do that during this hard season because we walk our dog every morning, and so we are outside. Once he's gone to the bathroom, we usually are outside for at least an hour walking him. I do have that flexibility. However, if that's not something you have, maybe you could think about doing a 10-minute Pilates workout. I will have that in my description box as well. I like to do Lindy Well Pilates, or even, walking around your block, if that's available to you. If, that's not available to you, maybe taking 10 minutes or 15 minutes doing an at-home workout, and you're popping a DVD in while you have your kids, if they're at home with you, or if they're not in school yet, or if you homeschool, maybe having them do a project as well in a different room or right next to you, if that's something that you are able to do, so that you can still get your movement in. But we don't want to just put our movement in a box. Sometimes people like to hula hoop. Others like to go roller skating or ice skating. Maybe you like to play basketball or volleyball. There's so many different ways that we can practice movement. We want to make it joyful, but we just need to start moving in the beginning. So that is so important, and we want to make sure that we are doing that even in the hard seasons. Now, mindset work. Mindset is so important, and there's a few tips that can be lovely to add into your routines in hard season especially. So sometimes in a hard season, you may not be as intentional unless you are really intentional about being intentional. So one of the things you could do is have some mindset books, like personal development on Audible. That can be really helpful because, you're just kind of pressing a button and listening in. And that can help to create a positive mindset even when you're having a hard time. Journaling, that's another thing that I really love to do. And I have to be intentional about these things, or I'll be honest, it just will not happen. Reading my Bible every day as well. So those are the top 3 that I have on my mind when it comes to mindset. Audible, listening to Audible books, journaling, reading your Bible, also listening to worship music or uplifting classical music. Music can be really helpful when it comes to, changing how we feel. It's so amazing, but music can do that, and we don't want to forget about those kinds of things. Also, affirmation. Sometimes I think nowadays affirmations can get a bad rap where people are feeling like they are forcing themselves to think something good even though they're thinking something bad. Honestly, if you just keep it really simple, I have found that to be the best way, because the thing is, you don't want to say something that your brain already knows is not true. But you can say something like, let's say you wanted to start drinking enough water in your day. So instead of saying, I drink half of my body weight in water every single day, that may be something you want to, have a goal of, but maybe that's not something you are doing right now. So you can say something, maybe, I aim to drink half of my body weight in water at least 3 times a week, okay, or at least twice a week. And so, if you write that down in your journal to drink water every day, and you want half of your body weight in water, let's say you weigh, I don't know, maybe you weigh 130 pounds, and you're wanting to drink half of that, in water. So what is that? 125 ounces. So no, that's not right. So if you're 130 pounds, what is that? 65 ounces, not 125 ounces. It's 65 ounces, right? So of that in water. And if you're just starting out, maybe that can be challenging for you. So you can say, hey, I aim to do it twice a week or 3 times a week. And then you just kind of build up. And that can be an affirmation that, actually feels good in your body, that you don't feel like you're, not being honest by sharing that or being deceptive at all. You don't want to make create an affirmation that is not actually true, because then your brain will say, that's not true at all. That's deceptive. That's not true at all. So we don't want to do that. Our brain looks for ways to be right. So we want to make sure that we are able to live congruently, and we can do that by speaking truth, even to ourselves. And so when we're able to accomplish those affirmations, then you feel really good, and it helps us to keep the promises that we make to ourselves, because those promises are so important, because over time it can erode our self-esteem if we are not able to keep the promises that we make to ourselves. So we don't want to be like that. We want to keep those. So we want to work at it. Okay, so I think we've covered all the different 4 intentional needs. And so I think lastly, I'm going to share with you the importance of giving yourself graces and permissions. I think I mentioned that on several podcasts ago. And let's talk about that for a second. So giving yourself grace to take time in your day to rest. Giving yourself permission to watch a Hallmark during the week once you've gotten your work done, or, giving yourself permission to have some healthy chocolate every month. There's so many things that we can do to help our body and our mind in the season that we're in. And of course, we can do that in a really healthy way. And I think that is really what's really important. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope that it blesses you and you were able to get a lot out of it. Don't forget, if you would like more support, I am here to help you and to coach you to make those 4 intentional needs really happy and healthy, settled in your life. So just don't forget to reach out if that's something you are interested in. So I look forward to speaking with you next time. Have a blessed day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to my mom's podcast.
Don't forget to follow and leave a review.
It is so important. The reason why is because that's really the only way that other autism moms know of this podcast and are able to receive from this amazing information. So thank you so much. Don't forget to like and leave a review and share with all your friends and download. Bye.
Thank you so very much for listening in. If you have learned something new today or have been blessed by this show in any way, please share it with a friend. And don't forget to head over to iTunes and leave a 5-star review. And feel free to take a screenshot and tag me on Instagram, and I will tag you back. Thank you and be well.